The entire fate of the National League West in the 2025 season could be spelled out this week as we're waiting for the big showdown coming up this weekend.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter, or whatever they're calling it these days, and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. But the best way to get a hold of me is right here on the YouTube channel. And make sure if you're going to post a comment, use that hashtag EverydaySully. It helps us figure out where you are, when you are, why you are, and how you are. Hey, today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Okay, before we get on, let's talk about the trivia question. We talked a little bit, got a lot of responses in the Milwaukee Brewers, Seattle Mariners, everyone shouldn't be panicking in New York episode I did the other day. And that was great. I'll get to some of those when I do a viewer response episode. But my trivia question was, in the first ever Milwaukee Brewers postseason victory, what two future Hall of Famers homered and what future Hall of Famer got credited with the win? And we got a lot of guesses, which shows you how many future Hall of Famers there were on that 1981 Milwaukee Brewer team. General Zod 19K. Anyone who makes a General Zod reference is all right by me. Guessed Paul Molitor and Robin Yount. Not correct. Well, one of the names is correct there, not the other one. Michael O'Hare Z90 says, trivia guess, Molitor, Yount, and Sutton. And it shows you how many Hall of Famers there were. Molitor is correct. Yount, not correct, and neither is Don Sutton. That was a lot. That was a hell of a team they had in 1981. Big John 08865, who gets a lot of these trivia questions correct, got it right. Trivia question answered. Ted Simmons and Paul Molitor hit home runs. That's right. Remember, Ted Simmons is in the Hall of Fame now. Great catcher for both St. Louis and Milwaukee. So Simmons and Paul Molitor hit home runs in that Game 3 against the Yankees, and Rollie Fingers was credited with a blown save and the win. Remember, that was the strike year, and Rollie Fingers won the Cy Young Award and the MVP as a member of the Milwaukee Brewers. So that's the correct answer. Correct answer was Paul Molitor, Ted Simmons, and the win went to Rollie Fingers. I'm going to step away from the fence so it doesn't look like I've been locked up in Shawshank. Remember the beginning of the year, it seemed to be the consensus that the very existence of the Los Angeles Dodgers was bad for baseball? I mean, for God's sakes, they signed Blake Snell. They signed Sasaki. It's not fair. They bought another World Series title. It's just not fair. It's bad for baseball, I say. And for a big chunk of the year, the Dodgers have indeed had a comfortable lead in first place. It's not so bad for baseball anymore, is it? The fact that the Dodgers, who are still in first place as of this recording, but they're not running away with it. In fact, there's a really good chance that not only will they not be the best team in the National League during the regular season, but also they'll probably have to play in the wild card series. You know, I mean, Milwaukee is playing great baseball, as is Philadelphia. He was also playing some really good baseball. The San Diego Padres. In fact, as of this recording, the San Diego Padres are only 2 games back of the LA Dodgers. Now, by the time you hear this, both the Dodgers and the Padres will have played a game, and so it could be a 3-game lead, could be a 1-game lead. And we'll talk a little bit about those series in just a minute. But the fact of the matter is, we got a little more than a month and a half left in the season, and the Padres are inching very, very close to those same LA Dodgers whose existence is supposedly bad for baseball. By the way, the Brewers and the Padres are becoming the walking answers to the teams that say, well, it's not fair. We can't compete. How can we possibly compete in the world with the New Yorks and the Los Angeleses of the world? Well, the Brewers are the best team in baseball right now, and they're doing so with smart drafting, smart trading, and playing intelligent baseball. If you play the Brewers are only going to give you 27 outs. And if you give them more than 27 outs, then guess what? They're going to beat you. They play smart. They play intelligent baseball. They play fundamental baseball. They play the game the way it was supposed to be played. And with all that, and using analytics, and using scouting, they put together a team that plays well and wins. That's one way to do it. San Diego did it another way, and they're competing with another, which is, hey, we have a chance to spend money now and put together a winning product on the field now and draw lots of fans to our ballpark. Why don't we do that? Why don't we actually spend the money? Why don't we actually make an effort to put a quality product on the field? And so you have San Diego, a pretty small market, acting like a big market team a lot of the times, not because they have unlimited funds, but because they see the time is now. And now you look at them, they're selling out the dump left and right. Petco's not a dump. And the fact of the matter is, they have a chance to catch LA. Now, for the next few games, they're going to be playing the San Francisco Giants, a weird team. Sometimes the Giants look really, really good. Sometimes they look really, really bad. And they did sell at the trade deadline. So it'll be a slightly depleted Giants team. After that, starting this weekend, they play they play Los Angeles. It'll be a head-to-head matchup between San Diego and LA. After that, 4 more games with the Giants, and then 3 more games with the Dodgers. That's right, in the next couple of weeks, San Diego and LA will be playing each other 6 times. 6 times, and right now, only 2 games separate the two in the standings. If San Diego can hold their own in this series against San Francisco, that means that the whole, it's not fair, the Dodgers are going to buy everything, it may not even win them a division title. Now, the Padres, they have a benefit. They're going to play 16 of their games at home the final month of the season, and they're not going to be playing LA the final month of the season. And they've got a terrific bullpen, and we're seeing that they no longer have to, their quality starting pitching they're getting means they don't have to wear their bullpen to the ground. They have a deep bullpen. They have a solid lineup. And they have players who can mash the ball. You have your Manny Machados of the world in there. They got smart hitters like Luis Arraez, who will hit the ball in play and keep runners a-going there. And they may get Joe Musgrove back. They brought back, Yu Darvish is on personal leave right now, but if Darvish is back and Musgrove is back, they may have 2 more pitchers to give him a little more pitching depth. And the fact of the matter is, San Diego, if they hold their own with San Francisco, could put themselves in a real situation to overtake LA. Now, LA, the defending champs, are facing a real, possibility of being a wild card team, and maybe even a wild card team on the road. Do you really think that's going to happen? If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about that the last time you needed a service emergency, like, a burst pipe. If the first plumber didn't answer, did you wait? No, you called the next one. That's why having a reliable business line is so important and why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app on your phone or your computer. If you juggle 2 phones just to keep business and personal calls separate, OpenPhone has solved that instantly. Your whole team could share one number to respond to customers like a shared inbox. No more, who's handling this? And they have an AI agent who handles after-hours calls and common questions. So, here's what you should do. Listen to me as I talk to you about OpenPhone. OpenPhone is making Locked On MLB listeners an offer of 20% off your first 6 months at OpenPhone. Use openphone.com/LockedOnMLB for the offer. That's OpenPhone.com/LockedOnMLB. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. For a while there, things were going basically as scripted for the LA Dodgers. Now, they had some ups and some downs, but they had themselves a 9-game lead on the 3rd of July. Up 9, and looking like they're ready to put the aft thrusters on, get a double-digit lead, and basically tell the rest of the National League to eat my dust, see you this October. But they then lost 7 straight games. I've said this before, I've said it again, I'll say it till I'm Dodger blue in the face. It's never the right time of the year to drop 7 straight games. And with that, it kind of put the Dodgers a little bit on their heels. Now, some positive things have happened to the Dodgers recently. They played well against the Toronto Blue Jays. They didn't win that final game, but they played pretty well. And I admire the fact that Dave Roberts was actually able to call out Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani made a bad base running play, and Roberts didn't just pull an Aaron Boone and say, well, you know, he's making the right play and everything. No, he called out and said it was a bad baseball move. I say good for Roberts. Look, I think any criticism of Dave Roberts as a manager has to be put into the toilet and flushed after last year's postseason. He won the World Series and did so where the majority of his starting rotation was in a full body cast, where he had to write in a bullpen game every fourth start, and was able to do that and expose the New York Yankees, and was down 2-1 to San Diego with a bullpen game going, and pulled it out. We were so close seeing San Diego probably winning the pennant last year. I digress. Kershaw's back. Now, he's not Clayton Kershaw circa 2014, but he's still being effective. Taylor Glasnow and Blake Snell both started. So 2 pitchers who have been injured for a giant chunk of this season and who I didn't think they'd really be able to count on much are starting to contribute. Now, that rotation might get a little healthier if Roki Sasaki comes back. We will see. But the fact that they have the likes of Snell and Glasnow to go along with Yamamoto at all in their rotation means they don't have to rush Sasaki, which is a positive thing if you're a Dodger fan. And seeing them right now in LA County, I'm surrounded by them. And you saw that, Kershaw and Snell picked up wins. Kershaw winning that turn back the clock game where he won against Max Scherzer. Remember the 2 of them were teammates in 2021? That was weird. But the Dodgers are 12-18 since the 3rd of July. In that same stretch, the Padres are 20-12. Dodgers need to get healthy. Muncy is back. We'll see what happens with Edman. We're not sure about Tanner Scott, and we can see that Blake Trinan is... he kind of stinks right now. They're going to have to do a little mixing and matching in that bullpen. Now, the Giants are playing San Diego. The Angels are playing the Dodgers. Now, the Giants would like to make San Diego's life miserable, and I'm sure the Angels would like to make the Dodgers' life miserable. We'll see. By the way, this is one of the things that when people talk about, well, the schedule is going to be easy here, the schedule is going to be easy there, you have to remember for some of these teams, they have nothing left to play for. And so playing the Dodgers, or playing the Padres, or playing the Cubs, or playing the Red Sox, or playing the Yankees, playing whatever top team you're facing, Milwaukee, Seattle, Houston, this is their chance to say, oh, you think we're pushovers? Try us. And so if you're the Angels, and people are just right, well, those are easy wins, the Angels suck. The Angels have won some games recently. They haven't been able to quite jump over the 500 hood, but they'd be motivated. And the Giants would be certainly motivated to make life miserable for San Diego. Wouldn't it be something if both the Giants and the Angels beat up the Padres and Dodgers respectively, and then we still have that 2-game spread heading into this weekend? But I digress. We're going to see if Kopech and Sasaki can come back. We're going to see what kind of Dodger team we have moving forward. And then comes the showdown. You have those 2 series, which are the 2 final series of the year between the San Diego Padres and the Los Angeles Dodgers. And the National League West could, well, if the Padres leapfrog the Dodgers, and that's in the cards, then you could find ourselves in a position where Milwaukee could win the division over the Cubs, the Blue Jays could win the division over the Red Sox and Yankees, and the Padres could win the division over the Dodgers, and people will still scream that the big market teams just pay and win all the championships. Because why listen to reality? There are ways to win if you are a smaller market team. You could build your team intelligently, or you can build your team aggressively. The worst thing you could do is be a team like the Pittsburgh Pirates, who, as I mentioned before, have an ace pitcher and actually very good pitching, and one of the worst lineups you'll ever see. Take a look at the Padres or take a look at the Brewers if you're a smaller market team who is always crying, woe is us, woe is us. Why are the Padres able to get into the playoffs again? Why are the Brewers able to get in the playoffs again? What are they doing that's so mysterious? And I got to ask you all to promise me something. I got to tell you something. I'm not rooting for either the Dodgers or San Diego, in all honesty. What I want is a dogfight right down to the end. I want to see something similar to what we had last year between Arizona, Atlanta, and the Mets. That's what I want to see. Pure anarchy. I'm a fan of anarchy. But if San Diego does indeed take advantage of these games against LA, and they do indeed win the division, I don't want to hear anybody saying, oh, it's not fair, the Dodgers win because they buy everything. You can win. You can beat them. You can play smart baseball, or you can try to beat them at their own game. It's possible. And all I want to see is anarchy. We've all been there, logging on early and waiting for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. And that's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, so you can save up to 60% with our killer last-minute deals. So if you're tired of scrolling, trying to find the best deal, check out Gametime's zone details and pick the best seats in your section for you. With Gametime, the price drops and you get exactly what the price says, so you don't get any hidden fees. And if you ever wonder what your seat will actually look like before you buy, the app shows you a panoramic seat view, so there are no surprises. To take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Gametime, download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets and lowest prices, they're guaranteed. The next few weeks are really going to shape a lot of how the NL West is going to look, and it may also shape how the 2 MVP races are going to look. I had more than one person right during the last show that I did about the Brewers and the Mariners, and I said that Cal Raleigh could be clinching the MVP runner-up behind Aaron Judge. More than one person pointed out that that was crazy, that Cal Raleigh should be the MVP. And I'm thinking about that. You could certainly make a compelling case. I think make a compelling case for either one. You know, Cal Raleigh leads the league in home runs. He leads the league in runs batted in. Has an OPS right now, as of this recording, of 947. And he does it as a catcher. You know, to get that kind of production from your catcher position is no small thing. And I think his MVP candidacy may really be tied also with the fate of the team. Now, a lot of times I think that the team's performance really shouldn't reflect on an individual award. It's one of the reasons why I would keep giving, during his prime, constantly give the MVP to Mike Trout, even if the Angels stunk. A couple times I think they should have given it to Mike Trout because the Angels stunk. But I digress. But I can certainly understand if the Mariners overtake the Houston Astros, that great run should play at least partially a role in Cal Raleigh winning the American League MVP. But then again, there's another element to it. The first half of the season, Aaron Judge put up games that looked like he was in a video game. It was just absolutely unbelievable. It made Yankee fans say, wait, Juan Soto who? But recently, and to this, as of this recording, Judge leads the league in average, on-base percentage, slugging, OPS, OPS plus, a lot of other stats that I don't understand. Has 37 home runs. And if you take him out of the lineup, that Jenga piece is a massive one that the Yankees can't really replace. However, he got hurt. And then when he got hurt, of course, I think everyone sees he came back too quickly. The Yankees can't afford to have him not in the lineup, so they forced him back pretty quickly. And since then, in the last 28 games, at least before Monday, he's slashing 175, 306, and 325 with 2 home runs. That's not very good. And if you see that his stats continue to come back to earth, and if the Yankees' collapse continues, this could be an instance not too dissimilar to when Jimmy Rollins won the MVP over David Wright in 2007, that Judge would be punished for the fate of the Yankees. Remember, I have what I call the Coen Brothers rule, which is if you've won multiple awards, you can't really complain if you don't pad your resume. Judge has won the MVP a couple of times, including last year. So if he doesn't win another MVP, you can't really cry for him. Another person you can't cry for in terms of MVP is Shohei Ohtani, who I think is the MVP of the National League. And you look at the fact that Ohtani leads the league in home runs, slugging percentage, OPS, total bases, a lot of other stats that I don't understand. And has an ERA of 2.37 in 19 innings. And the Dodgers are still in first place. All right, so he's not having the mind-boggling year he had last year, but he's also spending some time on the mound, which he didn't do last year. I think that makes him a clear MVP. Unless you look at WAR. A stat that I don't 100% understand. I look at WAR the same way I look at Wikipedia. I think it was a good starting off point, but I don't use it as a primary source. But according to WAR, Pete Crow Armstrong should be the National League MVP. He's got his 27 home runs, his 30 stolen bases, an OPS of 822, and leads the league at 31 doubles, and has the highest WAR. Now, I don't quite understand that. Maybe that makes me a Luddite. Is it because he plays the field and primarily Shohei Ohtani doesn't? Is that the main reason? Help me understand this. I'm not saying Pete Crow Armstrong shouldn't be a top 3 NL MVP candidate. I think absolutely he should be. I just don't understand why any stat would have him ahead of Ohtani. Again, that may make me sound silly in a lot of people's eyes, but help me understand. Not saying it's wrong. I'm saying I don't understand. By the way, thanks so much for making Locked On MLB your first listen. For your second listen, keep it right here on the Locked On MLB channel. Check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, all season long. Get expert opinions from all the Locked On MLB hosts up and down the Locked On MLB network, where it is indeed your team every day. Let's go over the trivia question, which has to do with WAR. In 1998, the year that Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa had the home run chase and saved baseball, neither Mark McGwire nor Sammy Sosa cracked the top 3 in WAR for the National League. In fact, Sammy Sosa didn't crack the top 10. Who were the 3 National Leaguers who finished ahead of McGuire and Sosa in 1998 for WAR? Post the answers right down here on YouTube. So follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they're calling it these days on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully, made Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram, and follow us here on the YouTube channel. Talking about the San Diego Padres, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and how the West could be won. This has been Locked On MLB. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.